tripod all set up here so we're nice and clear. Let me know how the audio sounds. And yes, I know this is not the hat you would expect. This is the hat you would expect, but I'm disappointed in this. It's very uncomfortable. So I continued to buy the same hat over the years because it was super comfortable, and their hats are no longer the same. So this is just only going to be the filming hat. Since I'm not filming, I'm live. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're not here to talk about my current choice in headwear. We're going to talk about some really cool, sexy, awesome knives and other stuff, depending on how it goes. And I do have to apologize for the sweatiness. It's really, really humid here. So let me get this chat set up to allow messages. Even though it's hot, I'm still going to drink my coffee. So yeah, I have a lot of really cool knives, and not all of them are set out, but I do have some stuff you're not supposed to have. I got a couple of them. So, oh, by the way, there's that big video that I'm editing today, like a lot of editing. I spent the day at my buddy Tino's house. He is an avid knife collector. I do have to refilm the intro and the outro because they got ruined. There was something wrong with the audio. But just so you know, I went to his house, and he's probably got $50,000-$60,000 worth of knives in one case. I would say, like, he's doing the estimate for me. The top shelf is at least $12,000. Just the top shelf of his one case. I got Ninja Stars. I got some Ninja Stars that I've had here for a while that I came across while I was cleaning up the studio. I got some of those. I need a dartboard in the backyard because I've got a whole row of them, all kinds of different shapes and sizes. I need to get a dartboard and hang it up outside somewhere. So those bad boys. I need a spot. I need a spot to film. His top shelf is all Ferrums, but top shelf of his top shelf of Ferrum forged knives is, I mean, it's mostly Maker's Choice. And so if you don't know what Maker's Choice is, it's one of the knives we're going to talk about. They're hand carved. Elliot would pick a knife. He would just take some of the knives out of the production run, and he'd just pick a theme and kind of just go with that theme and carve a bunch of knives. There were always some one-offs in there, but so to start it, what's everybody carrying? I'll show you what I got. I'm currently carrying my. Let me turn this TV off. I'm getting a weird blue light, and it's because the TV is on behind me, currently playing. There we go. Currently playing a news feed that I was just reading the chat. I'm carrying that, and I'm carrying the Ironfly Knives YOLO, which I'm really, really impressed with. But I have picked out some really cool ones. This is, if you haven't seen it, I put a video out about this. This is the best knife, hands down, I have ever purchased. I talked to Tony Marfione. I talked to Tony, and I was like, hey, this is the best knife that Microtech has ever made. Well, I thank you very much, Coloring Moth. This has taken the title as the best knife I've ever bought. It's currently taken the title as my favorite knife I've ever bought. It beats my $1,000 Grimzo Norseman. It beats my $1,000, $1,200 hand-carved Master Blaster, which, by the way, there's another reason why this is so incredibly important to me, and it's because my buddy Tino and my buddy Nico got together with Elliot and commissioned this to be made for me as a gift. But that's about a $1,200 to $1,600 knife, depending on the elaborateness of the carving. But still, this $300 knife has beat out knives that are 3 times the price, if not more. This is an amazing knife. And if you haven't seen one, Cole over at Tri-State EDC did a video about one. His was the all black. I like the stonewash, but you can see mine gets a good bit of use. How's the weather today in Australia? Yeah, that's a good question. Because I'll tell you, super, super foggy this morning. It's 81 degrees in the studio, and it is super humid, way more humid than San Diego usually is. I do know that this time of year, it's the end of, as it's coming end of summer for us, it's coming up on the beginning of spring for Australia. Has that whole thing to do with the north and south. And I have been to Australia a bunch of times. Matter of fact, I am one of the few people that has seen the Southern Cross in the Navy. It's unusual for Navy guys to get out there. I mean, it's not unusual, but like the guys that are in the area of where they're stationed in an area that they would go is very, very small compared to the overall population of the Navy. And guys, if you are here, drop a like. Actually, no, it's the beginning. Christmas is in the summer, right? Because my buddy always talked about his grandfather wanted to, even though it was like stupid hot in Australia, they still did the Yule log. So I'm trying to think. So it would be, so it's the end of summer for us. It's the end of spring for you. Roll. So the end of summer into fall, end of, are we in fall? I can't remember. At any rate, I know it's exactly opposite. It's confusing, and the toilet water goes the wrong direction. So, yeah, I got some really cool knives picked out. This is another really cool one. This is a very cool thing. And I know the light is weird because I'm out here in the studio because it's just, there's no air moving in the house. And I like having natural light. So we got the garage door open out here in the studio. So this is a Heretic Medusa by Tony Marfione. That's funny. Father and son. Tony Marfione Jr. Asked Pete to film it for us. I haven't talked to Pete in a while. Pete's been busy. I haven't had a chance to really talk to him much at all. What makes a good knife in my eyes? There's a handful of criteria. Most of all, like a good knife can be something simple like this $50 knife here. Really simple. It's still a great, great knife. Probably one of the best little mini knives on the market. So for me, it's got to hit some criteria. It's got to have, I don't want to have to sharpen it often. 14C28N, pretty wear resistant. It's got to take the edge I want. So this one is in Microtech, their proprietary M390 blend that they worked on with, I've sweat my shirt through to where it's hanging weird. The M390 MK so far has been a very good steel in my opinion. So you want that, but also, is it comfortable for me to use? Right? Is it comfortable for me to use? Because at the end of the day, a knife is a tool. And if a tool isn't comfortable, you're not going to use it. So what is this? I got a message held for review. Show. Oh, that's fine. I don't see anything wrong with this. By the way, 200 Stone B is trying out resin bond, but it feels like normal West End. I don't sharpen enough these days to make it worth my shoulder is just so bad. I can't sit and sharpen. Any rate, the steel and all that, but when it comes down to it, how does it feel in hand? And I've got some really expensive knives that are in higher end categories. This one's not super expensive. These are about the same price point, just about 300-ish. But, you know, I have knives that are much more expensive than that. The comfort level in hand, ease of carry, all those things, like maintainability, is it easy? Is the steel going to rust? Which is, I did a video about this knife here that you guys are going to see soon. This is in D2 steel. I'm going to rust this, and as a matter of fact, I just cleaned it up not long ago, and you can see it's already forming a patina mid-blade. So I'm going to have to clean this up and oil it and all that stuff. I don't necessarily want to have to do that. That's why I gravitate towards the higher stainless 14C28N. M390, really, really rust resistant. But then there's also steels that are like these super steels. Like I don't like MagnaCut, and people are like, how can you not like MagnaCut? Well, it's because I don't necessarily like the properties of the steel. It doesn't give me the edge I want. So, how is the audio, by the way? I wasn't able to test the audio. So, like, can you guys hear me still nice and clear over here? Is it tracking? Are we on good with the audio? I've had some problems with my microphones, with my wireless microphones, and so I just want to. Cool, cool. Um, but in all actuality, when it comes down to knives, like, so I know we're off the track and we haven't looked at any of the cool knives yet, but there was a question. I don't do a lot of fixed blade videos on this channel, right? I don't do a lot of fixed blade videos because they're not what this channel, people gravitate to the folding knives on this channel. Scab does fixed blades and they do great. I can't get the views on fixed blades I want, but I love fixed blades. So for me, oh, I got to show you what my buddy got me as a gift. So like this is a knife that and it's in that category. So this is a gorgeous knife. This is a beautiful, cool, sexy knife. This thing is amazing. Is it better without the light on? Can you guys see that? Nope. I may have to close the garage door part way because the lighting is weird. Let me see if that works here in a minute. But this is a fixed blade that I carry a lot. Not so much these days because I've got some other knives that came in that I'm carrying and I'm enjoying carrying, and they're fixed blades. So you don't want to be that weird guy walking around your neighborhood. You don't want to be that weird guy walking around your neighborhood with a. Let's see here. Let's do this. Let's do this. You got to do this. We have to do this occasionally because the fact is that will get my channel flagged in the comment section. So this is a Lon Humphrey custom. The handles are probably in need of a cleanup, but you can't carry this and like two other fixed blades. I do carry this a lot. I carry it. It's legal for me to carry a fixed blade in my area. If I'm carrying this Recyclops, to answer your question, if I'm carrying this, I'm probably only carrying another knife, like a smaller. I wouldn't carry this. I would probably carry a smaller folding knife, maybe this and a larger knife, because it's always good to have. Like if I'm carrying this, which is just about, it's 9.25 inches overall, right? I'm probably going to carry something like this because this knife isn't going to fit all the needs that I'm going to have for some things. Sometimes it's nice to have a smaller knife where you've got better control. But typically I carry two knives at a minimum. I don't like assisted opening. If I'm going to get that, like it just, historically assisted opening knives were for companies that couldn't make a smooth knife. Like this knife doesn't need to be assisted opening. Super, super smooth. If you get your mechanics down and they're super smooth, you don't need. Speaking of cool knife, hand carved. If you got a super smooth knife, like this isn't a flipper per se, but it's super, super smooth. Assisted opening knives were companies that typically couldn't get those mechanics down and get a smooth knife. And I don't like them. Speaking of knives, so I'm carrying this. I'm not carrying it out and about because, well, it's a dagger and I can't carry it in California, but I can carry it around the house just to get the feel for the knife. How does it carry? I've got a custom sheath that I had made for this. And so I'm carrying it around. And there are places where I will carry this. And there's times that I will carry this. I'm going to tell you right now, I carry this at night when I take the dog for a long walk, because we have mountain lions in my area. This is something that I would carry for my own defense. Sogs, Kershaw, yeah, and those are all companies like Kershaw. I'd never really had a smooth Kershaw, but I digress. I don't like assisted opening knives at all, and I didn't like them very much when they were popular. So, but yeah, I got a lot of really cool. This is that carved Ferrum Forge Knife Works Master Blaster that Elliot gave me. And so you can get knives because the last thing on the list for what I pick in a knife is the aesthetics. But when you get a super good knife, because there was a lot of versions of this that weren't carved, and this is basically that same knife. The only thing that made this a more high-end, expensive knife was the fact it was hand-carved. Like, that's all hand-carved titanium. So, but you can get knives that aren't like that. Like, the anodizing on this aluminum for this knife here is just amazing, and it makes it beautiful. And then the blade on it is beautiful. They're sexy. They're cool. And, like, everybody's like, well, being prepared isn't about looking cool. And I was like, but every once in a while, here's the thing. Be prepared, be ready, carry gear. But you absolutely can look good doing it. There's a lot of things out there that are done as these touches. This is the Chavez Knives 229. That's the full production version of his 228 Redemption that was a mid-tech, which is a mid-tech version of his full custom Redemption. So you had the 228, which was the mid-tech. You had the 229, which is full production. And there's a custom version of this knife. There's the Redemption 228 mid-tech, and then the full production Ultramar 229, done by Riyadh. So, a lot of really cool stuff you can do with knives. Oh, I have to do this. I've got to do a video about this. Guys, if you're into haptic fidget, like if you're hidden in, you know, that's the 229. That's the 229. Okay, if it's the size perspective, this is a 229. I'm just a really big guy. So people get like mixed up. So when I'm holding a PM2, a lot of people think that I'm holding a Para 3. But this is the full-sized 229 Redemption. It's not the Street. The Street was smaller, and I had one of those, and I got rid of it. And my buddy got me this as a gift. This was a birthday gift. You have a Street? Yeah, it's small. The Street is small. This is the full-sized. Let's see. This is 9 1/4. So is this like 8? This is 9 1/4. This is probably 8. I think this is 8. I don't remember. But this is a great knife. And I love the fact that it's got the hidden screws and everything so you don't detract it. The Ultramar Street had screws in the pocket clip. The Ultramar Street had screws in the pocket clip above the eyes. Like you can see them from the top. These are the hidden hardware. They're screwed in from the back. I don't know, but this isn't the place where we talk religion. So the reason I block politics, religion, stuff like that in the comment section, people are like, oh, cancel culture. No, it's the exact opposite of that. I have viewers that are probably staunch Republicans. I have viewers that are probably strictly Democrat. This has to be a fun place for everybody. So we just don't talk about those divisive issues. I don't talk about religion. I don't talk about race. I don't talk about any of that stuff. I have a Rumble channel that I used to do that on, where I would talk about my thoughts on it, but I just haven't had time to do that. But this isn't the place for that. We're here to talk about knives and just have some fun. Sometimes you just want to get away from what's going on in the world today. You just want to go to a place where everyone knows your name. Well, Ryan, I'll tell you what. You need to, because I can see your comment, even though it's hidden. I can see it, and you need to seek professional help. I am the last person to give you professional mental health. You need to reach out to somebody, call somebody. There's a lot of places you can seek help. I am not the person to offer you help, but I hope that you find the help that you need. So what's my favorite EDC? Right now it's this. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon, as I did a video saying this is probably the most perfect knife I've ever bought. As a matter of fact, this knife is as close to perfect as you're going to get in a folding knife. This is absolutely perfect. And this is the Microtech. You can go see the video I did about this. The title of the video is Holy Ish, with like asterisks and stuff. This knife is perfect. This is 9.25 inches of American-made perfection, a Microtech amphibian ram lock. This is the only folding knife I've ever had that got a perfect on this channel. The only other knife that got a perfect that I could ostensibly find nothing wrong with, was the Hawk Deadlock OTF. That's not a folder, that's an auto. So that would be the only other one I would say that was close to perfect. I have one that I own that's about as close to perfect as I had gotten in the past, and that's the Grimsmo Norseman, which is another very attractive knife, and I was planning on breaking out anyway. So this is the $1,000 gorgeous Grimsmo Norseman that I did the anno and everything on, and it's just about this is just about perfect. I've carried this so much since I bought this over the years. It's one of my most carried knives. This is absolutely, this was a grail knife. I saved for 5 years to purchase this. I don't carry it as often anymore because it's just, I can't afford to replace this. And so this is something that kind of has gotten shelved. I still carry it. It still goes in my pocket a lot, but nowhere near as much as it used to. Is this slice? Yes. Go. Zacharias, Shoni Zacharias. If you go find my video on this, you'll see this as the thumbnail. This knife is in the thumbnail. It's a video that I put up on Friday, I believe. If you go find the video on this, I explain all of that. It's in depth. It's about a 20-minute video. You don't like the tip of the blade, Tate? I don't mind it. I don't mind it because the thing is, I'm not looking for a knife. When I'm carrying a knife, I'm not looking for a weapon per se. Can I use this? Yeah, it's in that right. It's got the right angle of approach for that. This is an incredible. The other knife, oh, the Norseman. Yeah, a lot of people don't like it. They say it looks like well, a part of a donkey's anatomy. I always thought it looked like an angry pelican. I dig it. Here's the thing. Yeah, I got you, Chris. This knife has endeared itself to me because of how very versatile it is. You've got this forward edge that is almost like having a chisel. And then you have this recurve area here that can do some heavy cutting. And my goodness, is it sharp. Review hidden message. We'll leave that one hidden. We'll leave that one hidden. Bash Bros TV, yeah, the amphibian's great. This thing, if you look at it and you just look at the blade, it's perfect for so many tasks. 1,000 quid. Well, no, it's not 1,000 quid. It's $1,000. We use freedom units here on this channel. That's why I don't measure things in grams, and I don't measure them in centimeters, and I don't anything. This is that expensive because the fact is nothing on this knife came from anywhere except John's factory. Like John made every part of this. When John made this knife, he was the only, well, him and his brother were the only employees. He made every piece of this knife, including the screws. The only thing he didn't make were the actual ball bearings. Right? But he did make the races that the bearings go in and then labeled them with his name. As a matter of fact, I can show you that because I have a spare set of bearings for this knife and a spare thumb stud. These John made the rubber, or I'm sorry, the Delrin plastic runs, the races that the bearings run in. The only thing he didn't make were those little balls. That's the only part of that knife that was not made in his factory. This one was made in 2018 before he had a bunch of employees. So it's not so much what it's made of that makes it so expensive. It's how it's made. Case in point, the materials in this knife are not that expensive, right? It's the work that goes into it to make it into a knife that makes it expensive. 20 CV, I've made knives out of 20 CV. It's not a real expensive material to get. It's much more expensive now. But as far as the blade material, that's not what costs. What costs is the assembly. For Elliot to sit down and take all these parts that he had CNC'd out, blown out, and then ground and everything, and take that box of parts and match the parts up so that that knife fits. Because everybody seems to think when you make a knife on from water jet, it just happens. Like, oh, all you do is just put it together. It's like 20 minutes. It literally took several days to make every one of these knives from a box of parts. Not all the parts match up. Not all the holes match up. You've got to pick and marry those parts together. Blades, certain blades are going to have, even though they're done on a machine, they are going to have minor differences. So you have to match and marry those parts all together and keep them together through the entire process, and then tune that knife, put it together, and then finish it, and then carve it by hand. That's what makes it expensive. It's not the materials. The materials are irrelevant. Bob Terzola still makes knives out of a very old type of steel that's been around for a long time. He loves it. That's the steel he always makes knives out of. He has started doing stuff in MagnaCut. Do you know why he uses those materials? Because he's comfortable with them, he knows he can work them properly, and he knows how to get the most out of them. Bob's craftsmanship and hand making those parts and everything, the only parts Bob doesn't make are the screws for his knives. Putting all that together, the craftsmanship that goes into it is what you're paying for. It's not that you're paying, like Benchmade, you're paying for their brand. There's no expertise in that, right? They are overcharging. And you know how I know? Because the H&K knives that you get from Big Five are made by Benchmade and warranted by Benchmade. And they're like 60 bucks. So it's not that you're paying for the brand in that case. When you're talking about small makers like Bob Truzola, Fair and Forge Knife Works when they were doing stuff in-house, even Microtech to a point, you're paying for a brand. Definitely Grimsmo Knives, that premium it takes because all of that work gets done. The design, everything got done by John Grimsmo. So I made knives by hand for years, custom knives by hand. And I'm going to tell you right now, people are like, well, why does the knife cost so much? I was like, because it takes me a 10-hour day just to heat treat that steel. That's not counting the time it takes me to pin handles, make handles, grind the blade, finish the blade, get a sheath made. All of that stuff, it falls into it. So, yeah, I got some really cool ones. This is a really nice knife that's done by KATSU Knives that is just, it's super attractive. It is gold. It's called Gold Camo Fat Carbon Fiber, and it's got a ladder Damascus style or layered style Damascus ZDP 189 blade. So that's 420J stacked with ZDP 189 in multiple layers, but the whole core of that blade is ZDP 189. This thing's an amazing knife. This thing is great. If you haven't checked them out, you can check out their entire catalog over at KATSU Knives. You can use coupon code crazysharp. I got you guys a 10% discount on everything on their website. But they do incredible work, which is why I'm having them make my folding knife design. So, and I have to apologize, guys. My allergies are horrible. You can see my eyes are swollen up. My eyes are red. I can't breathe. I couldn't even sleep last night. It's been miserable with all the wildfires and everything that have been going on in Campo and stuff, and just dust in general. It's been bad. Matter of fact, I have not taken my allergy medicine yet today. So, but But like I said, at the end of the day, no matter how beautiful a knife is, if it's not comfortable to use, you're not going to use it. One of my most used knives, I thought I had it out here. I thought for sure I had it out. I have a small little budget knife that I've used so... Oh yeah, there it is. This is one of my most used knives these days. We were talking about it. This is the Good Boy by Best Techman. This little button lock. This, if you're looking for a bench-made alternative that you're not going to have to sell a testicle to buy, this is the Best Techman Good Boy, which is about, I want to say it's like $53. They've got them on Blade HQ. You can use my link down below to get them. My Blade HQ link. These are like $53, and this is the best alternative to a bug out. If you want to spend under 100, if you want to buy American made, what is it? I can't remember the Hogue Deca. Hogue Deca is about $100. This is about $53. If you want under $100 and you don't care whether it's American made, go find that one. Go find this one with my Blade HQ link. Like I said, under $60. It's D2, really, really thin. It's got that bug out feel to it. It's a KANU design. It's really good. If you want to buy something that's American made, which I'm not going to fault you for it, I will review any knife. I don't care where it's made because a quality knife's a quality knife. If you want to buy an American made knife, go check out the Hogue Deca. You can check those out at Blade HQ as well. I have links to like most of the major vendors, and you just use those links to check them out. I get a little bit, the company has to pay me a little bit for providing those links. It supports the channel, but you don't have to pay anything extra at checkout. I had to take my allergy medicine. I do have a knife here that is very, very attractive, but I hate it. This is the Ferrum Forge Knife Works Scepter, but this is the Ferrum Forge Knife Works Scepter Mandalorian. So this is just, I did not like the knife itself. I just didn't like it. It has nothing to do with the carving or anything. Well, thank you, Tate. But this is a left-handed. This is the other thing that Ferrum Forge Knife Works used to do. They had a customer that requested that they make left-handed knives. If you look, that's a lot of work because everything about it is much more difficult. But that's a really attractive, very, very attractive, hand-done, hand-carved. I can't tell if it's in focus or not because I'm not wearing my reading glasses. I should be. I'm going to have a headache. Guys, I apologize. I'm getting old. Oh, that is way better. I can absolutely do that without getting a headache now. Oh, I have to holler out my buddy's new company. If you like haptic fidget toys, like these fidget, my buddy over at Otter Arms, he makes gun stands, but he started making these haptic, clicky, clacky fidget toys, and it is Otter EDC, and I think crazysharp 10 is the code that will save you 10% over there. I don't make anything on a salees. The guy that owns the company is a really good friend of mine. I have a pistol stand that sits on my bench here that, we're going to remove that. These aren't that expensive. He's got a bunch of different types. I need to put a link in it, but these things are really cool. It's just a magnetic, like, stacked magnetic coins. So the magnets inside, when you do it, they move around a little bit. It gives you that click-clack. They're really strong. And I'm not gonna lie, when I'm editing videos, I play with this a lot, or the Drifter coins by Focusworks. I have ADHD, and this just helps me like focus when I'm editing, or I'll lose my mind. So, well, Tate, you have a good day. So these are really cool. So check him out. I don't make anything as silly. It just happened to be sitting here, and I thought I would tell you. Now, if you work somewhere where you are around a lot of metal dust, do not take this with you, because the magnets in this are really strong. You're gonna play hell trying to get them cleaned up. That's What's wrong with this one that it doesn't want to work as well? I did some grinding and cleanup on a knife for a guy on my grind, and I had this, and it's now got a bunch of stuff. So I need to get some tape or silly putty or something to get down in because it's got metal dust all over it, and it does not. It doesn't. It doesn't slide on its own like it would. What do I think of the Frank Grissom knives? I don't honestly think I've ever seen one. I really don't think I've seen one. Hey, do me a favor. If you guys are watching Weird Movies with Mark, go over and subscribe to that channel. It's one of my favorite YouTube channels. He does a great job on his videos. So we've looked at everything that's up here. Let me get out some really other cool and sexy knives that I've got here. We're going to get a bunch of stuff out. Oh, here's another really expensive knife. Not so much of a looker, but not so much a sexy knife, but an awesome, awesome knife. This is another example of why some knives cost so much. I've never seen one. I don't know. But I haven't went to a knife show in over a year. This is a knife that you need to find. I'm telling you right now. This is the Lamia that is done by Alex Steingraber over at Steingraber Performance Knives. This is, if I was to pick a knife that cuts better than any knife I have, it would be this one. And it's because of the behind the edge profile on this. Like, it almost doesn't exist. It's almost a zero grind. Like, it comes down. I took the edge off of this exact knife. I took the edge all the way off of it and then cut up like probably 30 pounds of cardboard. It doesn't have to be sharp to cut because it's got a really, really good behind the edge profile. This one is in crew wear. To be transparent, I didn't buy this. Alex Steingraber sent me this to use for a review, and it got misplaced in the back of my stuff. And I kept telling him, I was like, every time I'd see it, I was like, oh shit, I found that knife and I still haven't sent it back to you. It was here forever. I was like, hey bro, I got it. It's all packaged up. And he goes, you know what? Keep it, man. He's like, you have got so many people to come and see it because of the video you did, to come and like check out my stuff and then purchase knives. So he gave me this as a gift, basically, and it's just a stellar, another 100% USA made, all one person in-house, which is why they're like $700 each on when you buy them from him, which is what I recommend doing. If you buy them on the secondary market, this exact model in this exact steel is about $1,300 on the secondary market. So Alex is selling these for about 6 or 7. So this is like, if I know that I have to do a lot of cutting, this is what I'm going to pull out. Plus crew wear is just amazing. So what else we got that's interesting and attractive? I bought a custom at Blade Show West. I did not get to go. I could have went to Blade Show West, but the thing is, with everything going on with my daughter's college, and that's needs to be moved up. With my daughter's college and all this stuff that we've got so much going on, I just could not feasibly just hop in a car and drive to Salt Lake City. It just wasn't happening. A lot of sellers weren't there. I heard that this was kind of a there's a lot going on in the knife world where a lot of makers are having problems with some of the show coordinators. The big one is that everybody knows now that Blade Show is not judging the knives that are in for that are trying to win awards. They're not judging them fairly. And it's been kind of like the unspoken thing, like, if you want to win an award at Blade Show, you got to sponsor the show somehow, and then your knives will win awards. Case in point. Let me see. So You guys have heard about the Winter Blade Co. magnetic knives, right? Great knives. Great, great knives. Did not win the most innovative design at Blade Show this year. Do you know what did win the most innovative design? This. This is Spyderco PM2. This knife first released 15 years ago. Yet it won most innovative design of 2024 at Blade Show 2024. And I'm like, tell me that you're not taking money for awards without telling me you're... Tell me you're taking money for awards without telling me you're taking money for awards. This, which I absolutely agree, is the best EDC you can get. It's not the most attractive, but as far as all-around functionality, the PM2 is the best EDC money can buy. But it's a 15-year-old design. They're like, oh, well, no, this was the new one. That's the waterproof. It's their new H1 series. I was like, it's not a new knife. Looks like a cheap flea market knife? No, it's not. This is an incredible knife. It doesn't have to look good for it to be super functional. This one's in S90V. As far as functionality, you're not going to find a knife that does the day-to-day tasks you want better than this knife. You just aren't. Behind the edge profile, blade shape, grip in hand, ease of carry, ease of use, and safety and strength of lock. Hands down, the best. And then if you add a compression made easy from OCD for EDC, it gets even better. It's ambidextrous, tip up, tip down. And that blade is one of the most functional blade shapes you're going to find. It's radiused from heel to tip, but not strongly radiused. You can do the things you would do with a straight blade and still do the things you need to do with a little bit of belly on a knife. This is my pick for the best all-around EDC that you can buy. Is it my favorite knife? No. So, yeah, it's mostly useless. A dull knife is useless and dangerous because you have to put more pressure on it. So when it does cut you, it's going to cut you deeper. And when it does cut you, because you're going to hit it harder, when you finally make it through the material and you cut yourself, which eventually you will carrying a dull knife, not only is it going to be a bad cut because there was a lot more force involved, it's going to be a much coarser cut because it's dull, so it's not really cutting, it's ripping. Oh, guess what? We don't talk about politics. We don't talk about current events. We talk about knives. So, said it a bunch of times because that... it's not the place for it. If you want that, go watch Tim Pool. Go watch Anna Kasparian over it. Go watch the news if you want all that stuff. Yeah, this is just probably one of the best. Now, is it my favorite one? But I just want to talk earlier about the knife. That's it. What knife are we talking about? Is it good? Is the best knife Spyder? No, so Spyderco isn't the best knives out there. I just think that this model is the best knife. If I had to pick a Spyderco that I would say, I have several that I really like. This is a great, great knife. And I wasn't talking to you, Sandro. I was talking to somebody else that put something in. Well, thank you. Thank you. I buy these in 5-packs because I'm famous for putting them on my filming chair and sitting on them because I'll be filming and editing and things like that. And I buy these in packs of 5 because I break them a lot. Knives and Pizza got a good question. Where's it at? Crazy Sharp, how do you reset a strop? Can I wet it and scrape the green stuff off? I have a knife for that. Actually, I don't anymore. I threw it away. What I do, so this is diamond spray, and this is the stuff you're talking about, which is the chromium oxide. I'm going to address this question before I... So this does load up You can try and just add more, but eventually it just gets to the point where you're putting it on and it starts sticking to this. I will take either this ruler and just scrape it off till I get down to bare leather, and then just take some sandpaper and rough up the leather, and then you get back down to bare. This one is a diamond spray, so all I do is I take a wet paper towel and I remove the old layer, because it's not a waxy thing. It's just water. It's just an emulsion spray. So you can just wipe that off. You don't scrape it till you get down close to bare leather, then just coarse sandpaper, not to take off the leather, but just remove the top surface. Bring back up the nap of the leather a little bit so it's easier to load. Does that make sense? That's how I do it. Diamond spray is not. The diamond spray is not oil based. I do have some diamond paste that I use on one of my leather strops. This is 9 micron diamond paste. This is a water based, but it has a wax in it, and it does take a long time for it to set up. I don't like the oil based abrasives. This is a wax based. I don't like it as much as I like the spray. So the spray that I have came from EDC and Lace. It's actually in this drawer. That's right. I started keeping all of my strop stuff in here, so I clean things up. This is very, very heavily loaded diamond. This, it's not messy at all. It's got a little spray nozzle. You spray it right on what you want. I do it outside so overspray doesn't blow on stuff. But chromium oxide is not a great option for some steels. It's not as aggressive as you want sometimes, and it has tendency, if you leave it on too long, the chromium oxide loses its tooth, and you just wind up polishing your edge instead of actually restructuring your edge. I don't want to contaminate my strop. I have dry strops that have no compound on them at all. I have I have loaded strops, and I have dry strops. That's what I call them. So dry strops stay locked away somewhere else. It's just bare leather or felt, like razor strops, and then the loaded strops stay out here, and I usually stick to about 9 micron. So let's get back to the topic at hand. Beautiful knives. This is the Olamic Wayfarer 247 Sheep's Cliff, which is a weird looking knife, but I find it oddly beautiful. I find it oddly attractive, and as far as functionality, one of the most comfortable knives you're going to use, carry, cut with, just amazing. The Sheep's Cliff blade is just about perfect, and then just one of the best pocket clips you're going to find. It's up there, almost as good as the pocket clip that's on this knife, which I say is perfect. So this is great. I believe aluminum oxide's a bit harder than chromium oxide. It is, but it's also a bit more coarse. That chromium oxide that's on that strop is for straight razors. I do a final strop on that for straight razors. Chromium oxide works really good for that. And then I do my final strop on one of the dry strops, which hasn't been loaded. It works really well. I also have went as far as I've loaded the slip for the Spyderco ceramic stone and turned it into a strop as well. This needs to be cleaned off and reloaded because suede gives you a different feel on the edge when you strop on suede versus smooth finished leather, like what you would see in a belt. That does work good. It works well, I should say, using proper English. It does work well to do that. This shirt is, I've sweat this shirt clear through, and it's like sticking to me and hanging and weird. Scream as loud as you can. We're not doing that. This is one of my prized possessions, and it's not so much that I don't carry this knife as often as I used to. I still do carry it from time to time. As a matter of fact, it's probably going to go in my pocket today. This is really special because it's stupid attractive. It's awesome because you can't see the hardware. It's an integral, and it's light, and it looks amazing. But also one of the best blade shapes, one of the most comfortable knives you're going to find. And for an integral, super, super light. George, I will... George, I will answer that in a second. As soon as there it is. So I'm not a big fan of AEBL from most makers. So it depends on who's doing it. ADCR V2 is not a bad steel at all. It doesn't have a real great edge retention. It's really impact resistant, but it's typically not something that you're using that is going to be hold a super fine edge for very long. Impact resistant. Impact resistant. It's amazing. It's great for like outdoor knives you're gonna like chop with and things like that. There's a lot of other steels out there that I would have picked. Now, this is AEBL, and this is probably the best AEB. I think one of my neighbors is losing their mind. This is the best AEBL I've ever had. It takes a really good... The problem I always had with AEBL, it just never felt sharp the way I wanted it to. Super aggressive on this, but this is a custom heat treat on a custom knife. I don't know what's going on, but I may want to close that garage door because it literally sounds like somebody is losing their mind out there. So I would say I would say try to get knives in hand and see if you like the steel that maker's using, or if you like the way that maker is using that steel. A lot of knives that I've had in AEBL, didn't like them. I love this one. I didn't like XHP from a lot of makers. A lot of it has to do with heat treat and how that steel is handled after heat treat, how it's ground, things like that. This is just about perfect for AEBL. Literally think there's a mental health event happening on the other side of the street. So at any rate, what should you take for your diarrhea? I don't know. Maybe with your head that far up there, it's not going to make its way out. That's what I'm saying. Like if you want, like if you were constipated, I would say take your head and make a popping sound. That's what happens when trolls show up. I'll just troll back. Close your mouth. I don't know. So. Yeah, we were talking about this. This is probably one of the best. Hang on a second. I gotta see if I need to grab my firearm. I don't know. But I don't have to reach very far. It's right here, so I'm pretty safe. So, this thing is just incredible for the fact that I don't even like integrals. So what you've got here is this is one piece of titanium, not split. The blade and everything's in here. There is only one screw that you can see, and a pocket clip. That is the only thing that's holding these in, with the exception of. Can I get this info? Let me turn the camera around for you and see if I can show you. Can you see how that is dovetailed? That's what's holding this up. That's what's holding it in. That screw and then just these dovetails. Knees are dangerous. Jeff Hamilton, did you see my response to whether you won the knife or not? I don't know, but I added those knives back to my collection because I gave everybody an ample amount of time. I put up a video stating who won and who didn't. I don't remember who won. If you're a member, and I'm posting things up, there's always going to be a giveaway video for the members only. That's how you're going to find out if you win, and that's how I'm going to tell you how to contact me. So, I don't know. I'm not the only one. It's because we film vertically, we get a lot of trolls. This is the OAO by We Knife Company. This is designed by Tashi Barucha. Now, I was trying to explain why this is as important to me as it is because Tashi, I was trying to get one of these in for review. He reached out to his vendors. He reached out to the company. Nobody wanted to send me one. He was like, yeah, we don't have any that we can send. Tashi wanted me to be able to do a video about this knife about the time it was going to release. And so he released this knife, and then he sent this to me from France. This is one of his personal ones. And it absolutely was something great. Hang on a second, guys. I have to check something. I'm not going anywhere, but just give me a moment. I'm back. I had to check something. Sorry. Yeah, this is the We OAO that he sent me all the way from France. Absolutely love this thing. It's an incredible knife. The 20 CV blade on this. This is one of the sharpest knives in my collection. It is incredible. And the fact that they were able to get this so light. So what you don't see under here, the hardware that holds the blade in is in there. Then they milled material out in here to make this lighter. And so for an integral, for one piece of material, it's just incredibly light for a knife this size made out of one piece of material. So, what else did I? Oh, I grabbed this. This is the Ox Works. If you can find one of these, this is the Oaks Works EDX Lantra. Now, Eric Oaks is a friend of mine. He provided this knife. I have like several of his knives he's provided. I love the guy. He's a great, great dude. I reviewed the golfer knife that he did for a company. It was a knife that had like all the stuff you needed for golfing. It had the little things magnetically in here above the pivot that were your markers for balls, and they had, you know, logos. It had the divot tool and T-tool and stuff in it. This is a great, great knife, but it's also really attractive. And one of the cool things about this one is everybody's like, oh, that area around the pivot, that looks so cool. Let me turn it around for you so you can see. Like, that looks so cool. I'm like, yeah, but don't forget what that is. That's basically jimping. It's basically jimping there. So, top flipper, thumb studs that you can. Oh, I missed it. It's hard to do because I'm like behind the. I'm behind the camera. It's hard to do. It's really hard to do that like behind the camera, but it is a thumb stud. This thing's great. Just an awesome, awesome knife. Nice thin grind on this, 20 CV. He's done some really, really good knives. Really amazing ones. Show him that M. The one that looks like an Adidas slide. Is that what you're talking about? I got, so the shitty fixed blade. Oh, man, I didn't take a video. I didn't take a picture of it for a thumbnail. I got rid of that. My buddy was like, I'm going to send that to my friend as a joke. And I'm like, you absolutely are welcome to have that. One of my subscribers sent me basically a fixed blade M-Tech, and I'm like, this is trash. And I really tore that company apart a little bit. So knives and pizza, I may have to block you. Just because. Anyway, this is a really, really cool knife that it's about as cool as you're going to find. It is the, what is this? The Max Ace. This is the Max Ace Meerkat M. And it is a smaller knife that doesn't feel like it. Like, this is not a big knife in comparison. I'm a large guy. Right? But still in hand, absolutely super comfortable. Super, super comfortable. Doesn't feel as small as it is. And then you've got a relatively large blade, M390 blade on this. This is a knife that... Emerson's are horrible. This is a knife that came in for review from Jared over at Knives Knives. I had one that came in. It's a matter of fact, it's in a box over here. It's been here forever. It's going back to Jared. This was given to me by one of my paying members. I think Winston Cobretti gave me this. One of the paying members sent this to me as a gift. And I gotta say, it's incredible. This is an incredible knife. Easy to carry, nice and light, really, really good action on it. Access to lock bar. But where it really shines is, one, it looks super cool because it's white, it's white G10, which is an unusual material for this channel. And I don't know why I haven't gotten more knives in it. White or cream G10 are gorgeous. And then it's just, the whole package is just incredible. And then just as far as functionality, everything about this just screams, use me. Use me, use me. That was dirtier than I thought. That was a little bit nastier than I thought. Stay away from Emerson unless you're going to be using them. Just stay away from Emerson. They're not great. And here's the thing. This is a conflicting thing. I love Ernie Emerson. I do. He's a great dude. I love talking to him at shows. Everybody that's at the show with him knows how much I bash on his knives. I don't know how to deconflict that. Like, I love Ernie, but I don't like his knives. I like Ernie, but I don't like the direction his company goes. I like Ernie, but I don't like the advice he's getting from people that work with him. It's very conflicting to have that happen. There's a couple other knife makers. Love them. Can't stand their knives. I try not to talk bad about them too much, but I really think that at this point they're not the value proposition. You know what I'm saying? They really aren't. Spyderco for a while I disagreed with and didn't like, but that was because I didn't like the direction Eric was taking the company. What is your opinion on the Blackjack Model 7 Classic knife? I don't think I've seen it. I do have a Blackjack Tech Op series, I think is what it's called here. It is the Blackjack Tack Ops. This is the one we did the full sharpening on for our buddy Scab there in Florida. Oh, by the way, guys, like if you're in Florida, my thoughts and prayers are with you. If you are in any of the areas that were hit by the first storm, please, the thoughts and prayers. But there is something I would say. If you are, it's not political, but however you're voting, this is a bipartisan statement. Regardless of what's going on, please try to find a way to go out and vote. That's all I got to say. And if you're in Florida, please buckle down. I'm going to call my buddy Alan after this. He used to be my roommate when we lived in Japan. Now he lives in Florida. At any rate, this is a really good knife. I'm impressed with this one. Had to do a full edge repair on this for Scab, for Professor Scabarino over there at Choir Boys Cutlery. This is a very, very sharp, very, very big knife, and I don't hate this. So if the Blackjack Model 7 is like this, you know what? Let me look it up. I forgot I have another Have another electronic device over here because I had an LLC, so that meant I had a business phone and a personal phone. So we'll look this up on the personal phone because you guys are currently on the business phone. I don't use it for anything else, so I may as well. So what was it? The Black Ops? Oh, no, I'm sorry, the Blackjack. Blackjack Knives Model 7. Oh, okay. So this is a non-licensed. Okay. So the Blackjack Knives Model 7 is, I can show you an analog for it. I've seen the Blackjack Knives Model 7. I don't like it. I don't think it's well done. I think this is a much better version of that knife. So this is the R1 Military Classic, which was a licensed copy of the Randall Model 1. The Blackjack Knives Model 7, if I'm looking at this correctly, yeah, is a non-licensed copy of the Randall-made knives. So if I was going to buy anything, I would go after this. This is a much, I've seen the Blackjack version of it, and I don't like it anywhere near as much. Now, I do say they have a Model 7 sub-hilt fighter, and if you don't know what a sub-hilt fighter is, I hear sirens. I believe that somebody already called the cops. I was gonna do a 911 from my call. This is what's called a sub-hilt fighter. This one happens to be double-edged, so I'm being very, very careful how I'm holding this on camera. There is a hilt and then a sub-hilt, and what that gives you, it is a very good-looking knife. I've seen it, and I can see it right there on my screen, and I have seen it, in case you guys are wondering what I'm talking about. They're about $300. That's what it looks like. It's a good-looking knife. I like this one better. If I was getting a sub-hilt, I would probably get this or the Black Bear Classic from Cold Steel. But a sub-hilt gives you absolute control, and having a double edge means that you can cut both ways. So one of the things that people ask about the Randall, which is a very attractive knife, since we're talking about sexy knives. Hey, Bladed Ginger. This is a sexy knife. This is, in my opinion, a very sexy knife. And people talk about, like, well, what's the big cut in the back? And I was unsure about it until I found a Vietnam War era training manual. And that's because this knife, for day-to-day use, stuff like this, but in a combat grip, it's to be so that you can get up on it like that sub-hilt. So I'm in there. I've got that total control. I've got the guard here. And you come in low, aiming and then pulling up, and that cant to the blade gives you that very easy. So basically what you're supposed to do, because the manual said, come in at a low angle, thrusting up, aiming for the bladder, and then lifting in a raising cut to the breastbone. So basically that means that you're supposed to take this, put it inside somebody, lift up, and then take everything that's inside that person and put it on the outside. So that was their solution, was you've got this big finger grip here, so you can do that. In a sub-hilt double-edged fighter, you no longer have to rotate the knife, so you can hold it as you would coming out of the scabbard, and then you have that same upward cant as that knife does because of the way this is, and you can do that with this and also cut this way. So it's double-edged, so you can cut both ways. You can do that thrusting movement, and you've got that sub-hilt where it's in your hand the right way. And that's why this fighting knife is double-edged. Technically, this is a dagger. Double-edged, long, skinny blade. I did a whole video about it. You guys saw that. It's the difference between fighting and killing. I have news for you. If you are carrying this in combat, there is no difference between fighting and killing because that is the entire point. I'm waiting on a sheath for this. I will finally be able to get this sharp and keep it sharp. I have a leather sheath coming from Spirit of the Bear. So Secure X sheaths, do not recommend. I was given an early Christmas present at my friend's house when I went yesterday, and we filmed his entire collection. I have wanted one of these forever. And we talked about it, and I had his version of it. I had his knife here at my house for a video. And you guys will remember it. You guys will recognize it the second I show you. I've wanted one of these forever. I didn't get one when I was a kid. Well, I wasn't a kid. I was in high school. This is the Terminator 2. He found me one new in box. Well, it wasn't in its box. He found me one that was basically mint. The Terminator 2 dagger by United Cutlery. This knife was the one that Arnold Schwarzenegger pinned the biker to a table or to a pool table with. I've wanted one of these since the 90s. And I just couldn't justify like an $80 movie replica knife by United Cutlery that now are well over $150. He found one for a good price and got me one that is just brand new. Like there's not even a mark really on this sheath. So this isn't something I'm gonna carry. This isn't like a real utilitarian knife, and especially considering I hate these clips that they put on leather sheaths. I don't like them, but this is great. This is something cool. But his Christmas present was on back order and should be showing up anytime soon. So I'm going to return the favor and give him an early Christmas present. You fight for survival if that involves unveiling. I used to have a replica knife from United. Indiana Jones. Yeah. What was that called? That was the something. Oh, see, these trolls are just. So I give people the benefit of the doubt. If you put up a comment, I'm like, hey, that's not what we're talking about. And I just take the comment down. Like this isn't the place for that, shit like that, right? But if you come in and you spout something that is going to obviously take a racist turn, I'm just going to block you completely from the channel, which I just did. Yeah, I got a lot of really cool knives that I absolutely love. Let's see. Let me put a couple of these away and get out a couple more. The Kyber Bowie. That's what it was. The Kyber Bowie. I was trying to think of it. The Kyber Bowie. Thank you. I just could not think of it. Put that one away. That's going back in my pocket. This goes back in here. There's a lot of knives in here. So, guys, you think I have a big collection? I do. I have an above-average knife collection. My buddy Tino, who I went to his house and filmed his knife collection. My buddy Tino has got a massive knife collection. Like just top shelf, we're talking $12,000. Filmed that yesterday. I haven't edited it yet. I am gonna have to refilm some intro, outro, and it's not gonna be. Hey, we're getting ready to get in the car and go. It's kind of disingenuous, but the fact is, like, I still want to refilm it. $250. That's not a bad price. I want one of those. I do want one of those for movie replica stuff. Some people were talking about the Fortis. Here's another really sexy knife because of the just overall, just a gorgeous, gorgeous knife. This has got a very unique finish on it. We're going to pull this one out and stuff like that. And if the audio changes at all, guys, let me know. That's another one that needs to come out. What else we got? Yeah, this one needs to come out too because it's hand carved. We'll look at those. Then we'll get back to some other ones. So this is a knife that was a grail knife for me. Oh, $250 in your collection. I was like, if I had $250, I'd go out and buy one of those Kyber Bowies. Those things were cool. I wanted one of those. It's the one he uses to cut the bridge rope with. So this. I did do the black ceramic coating inside. I masked everything off and then refinished everything on here and did it all black. But the blade finish on this was what was really impressive because it's polished, but not polished. You know what I mean? Like it's polished, but yet it's not polished. Like you can see the grain structure, the steel in there a little bit. If you see what I'm saying, like you can see that. And it was a really super unique finish. And then I put a super polished edge on this. I think this is a 12,000 grit edge that I put on here. And it's sharp, but this is not the knife you're going to grab and go do a bunch of like heavy duty cutting with for two reasons. Can't duplicate that finish. That finish was accomplished by putting this knife, this blade, I should say, in a tank at a professional finishing company that was filled with synthetic sapphire balls. And it was tumbled in that medium for a week. Yeah, guys, hit the like button. Double tap the screen. So that was super high-end finish, but there were only ever 10 of these that had this finish, which meant that this was really rare. And this was given to me as a gift from my buddy Nico. This is the first Fair and Forged knife I was ever given as a gift. And I wanted one of these forever. And it was like a grail. And this is really, really sharp. Like it would cut. It definitely would cut. It would heal. But this was just something I always wanted. And it is a gorgeous knife, but also subtle. You know what I mean? Like just the little accents, like the black that I did in these grooves and the black that I did in the logo and then did the pocket clip black and all the hardware. It's kind of monochrome. I really dig it. It's that subdued, kind of subdued cool, which is the exact opposite of this one, which is the over-the-top crazy, one-off, sexy, black and green, toxic waste look that you get on this knife, which is a one-off Fair and Forge Knife Works Archbishop. And this is an amazing knife right here. The Archbishop is one of the knives, like if you cannot find you need to find an Archbishop and buy one. Whether it is the Archbishop that is an in-house build, which is the best possible you're going to get. Just listen to let me get it close to the mic. Oh. Rolling detent, super, super smooth. The action on it's like, this is as close to the trigger on one of my the competition trigger on my 1911, made in San Diego. Competition trigger. This, you're gonna have a hard time. We're only ever 200 of these. Now there are production ones that are made by We Knife Company, but the original ones were done here in San Diego, 100%. This has got an action on it that is as close to that glass breaking crispness that I have on the competition trigger on my 1911 as you're ever going to find in a knife. This knife right here, the best action on any knife that I own. It is insanely brilliant how good the action is on it, and then it is just shy of drop shut. Reat Horizon D just lost its title to the best production knife I've ever owned to this knife. Reat Horizon D, it's old, but I still have it. And it has got a very, very good action. Just shy of that. Reat Horizon D, carbon fiber, titanium, I anodized all of that, M390 blade. This is one of the best knives. I can't say. This is one of the best production knives, probably the second best production knife I've ever bought. But Tony Marfione just knocked it out of the park with this. And here's the other thing, and I keep saying this, and I know you guys are probably going to get tired when I talk about this knife. This knife, 100% American made. It is better quality than the first Microtech I ever bought, and it's $150 cheaper. So they've increased their quality over at Microtech and lowered their price. The Wee Menax from Fair and Forge. It is not from Fair and Forge. It is one of the few Wee branded. It is one of the few design knives that they ever put out that had the designer's mark on it. This is the Minax by We Knife Company that is a Ferrum Forge Knifeworks design. We Knife Company is not really big about putting makers' information on their knives anymore. I don't know why. They kind of stepped away from it. Mine was one of the only fixed blades they ever did it with, and this was one of the last folding knives they ever did. But this is way up there. This was on my short list of knives of the year that year. This is a great, great knife. And I forget I have it sometimes. But you want to talk about comfortable and everything. This actually was, it was not going to be the Minax for a long time because I'm really good friends with Elliot and Chris over at Fair and Force Knife Works. For a long time, the name of this knife, when it was just a design, it was up on the board and they were trying to come up with a name. And I said, it looks like something out of the video game Halo, and you should call it the Warthog. And that name went up on the board and it stayed up there for a long time. But the problem was that the company didn't like the name. And Elliot couldn't get this done the way he wanted it done. So he basically licensed the design and it went from the Warthog to the Minax. I actually had the name for this picked up. This super thin behind the edge. Nice recurve. So, man, the action on this one's really good, too. This does have a little bit of play in the action, but it's really, really good. Rickard! What's up, buddy? So, but what I was saying is, so this is probably one of the best knives that Fair and Forge ever did, and this is one that they turned into, they turned this into a production version. So you had the 2.0 and 3.0. Versions of this knife. So you had the original in-house 200-piece build. And this was a one-off. So this is the only one that looks like this. There's only one knife that looks like this out there, and I own it. It's the only one they did. But these were the best, but you're looking for something like, for one of these, the Archbishops, they require a premium, especially if they're one of the like limited kind of ones like this. You're looking at about $700 to $800. You can get one of the production ones for about $300. So this I paid $700 for, but that's not what Elliot wanted for it. I paid him extra because I know how much work went into these, and I know he was barely making anything on it, and I was making more money than I knew what to do with, and I could spare the additional money, so I paid him $700 for this knife. But this is, well, Mad Monk, as we explained before, it takes forever to make one of these. Elliot did every piece of work on this knife. The parts came in. None of these holes were drilled. None of this stuff was lined up. The blade wasn't finished. The blade wasn't ground completely. None of the holes were married up, and none of the parts had been coated, worked, or that. And it took about 2 weeks to make this knife. Base price on these knives were $550. And people were like, that's too expensive. I was like, well, you have no idea how much work it goes into it. I was a knife maker, and I explained all that stuff earlier, and people just don't understand how much work goes into this. The fact was they figured it out, and Chris and Elliot made about $200 each on the sale of one of these knives. Or on the sale, I forget what it worked out to with the entire run of knives and pre-orders and all that stuff. They weren't paying themselves. They couldn't pay themselves because all of the money went into the next batch. And now they've got it figured out. They do a lot of production. They do a lot of design work. They do collaborations with other knife makers to help them with their designs. And I'm happy for them that they were able to make it work. Same reason that this is a $700 knife. Alex is the only person in the shop. Alex does every piece of this and does runs of 200 where he does every bit of work on this knife by himself with no assistance. Unless you consider a CNC machine. Other companies like that, Heretic for a long time, TJ did everything on these knives. Now he's got a team that's helping him and doing a lot of other stuff, but TJ did all the work on these knives himself. And then he had another guy named Dustin that came in, and they were doing it together. But you got to figure they're running the business, they're doing the parts, they're doing the finishing, they're doing the social media part of it, they're doing sales, they're getting, it's insane. Elliot was working. I remember going up to the shop, and I left. I was there all night. I left the shop at like 5 o'clock in the morning, and Elliot showed up. And I came home and I took a shower. I'd been making knives all night. Came home, took a shower, and I would go to the shop at night because I'd be the only one there, and that way I wasn't underfoot. They let me use their shop, and I showed back up at. Elliot showed up at 5 a.m. I showed back up at, I want to say 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night, and I was like, "Are you back?" He's like, "I never left." There were times that Elliot would just be in that shop for 2 or 3 days straight. He would catch a nap. I did it too. I slept on the floor in the office. It definitely was an experience to learn how much work went into it. That coffee is cold. And I don't mean a little bit tepid. I mean, it's cold. So, you guys wait here for a second. I have to come right back. I have to go grab, I got to use my allergy spray. I can't breathe. So you may lose me completely, but, let's see, where's it at? Man, I can't breathe at all. Cannot breathe at all. Well, I mean, that's not true. I can obviously breathe because I'm talking. Wow. Guys, we have had 4,000 views on this, but I only got 5. I mean, no joke, 4,300 views on this live feed so far, and only 35 of you have dropped a like. Like, that is shameful. It's free. I haven't even asked you guys to drop a super chat, which you could do if you want. Double tap the screen. That's how you drop a like. Oh my goodness. 4,300 views and I only have 36 likes. Criminal. Criminal. Like I said, I did get laid off, so if you guys do want to drop a super chat, that would be helpful. I would love that. I used to get a lot of super chats on live feeds. I haven't gotten shit for super chats in a while. I used to get really frustrated about it, which is why I'm glad I'm doing it this way, not like the elaborate setup for live feeds and stuff like that. It got really frustrating, and I stopped doing live feeds for a long time because I had to like wrap my head around what's going on with YouTube. And I also had to acknowledge the fact that, like, while I'm struggling, everyone else is too, which is why I say, regardless of how you want to vote, go out and vote. I'm not trying to pick sides. I'm just saying you need to find a way to vote, period. And if you don't trust the mail-in ballot system, go in person and vote. I don't care who you vote for, just vote. I love how plain and understated this one is. So this is Kunwu's new budget brand. It's called Ironfly Knives. And I'm really super impressed with what they did here. Oh, and Bladed Ginger, I'm not trying to say, I'm just saying, like, that's just kind of one of the things. You guys can see the green screen back here. I am going to film today when we get done with this. So, this thing is just absolutely incredible. I used this knife, this big cleaver looking honking truck of a knife, right? I used this to dig a piece of wood out of my wife's foot. Didn't know it was in there. My wife thought she had a corn, and she was like, "Can you just trim that back, please? It's just rubbing it. It's driving me nuts and it hurts." I was like, "Well, corns aren't." I started to do it. She's like, "Ah, it hurts." And I'm like, "Corns aren't usually that sensitive." And I was like, "I do have to get the center out." And so when I started to pop out this, because I've done this, I've cut corns of my own and my wife's for years, and just trim them back. You're just real careful. And I was like pus came out, and I'm like, "Well, that's weird." And so I scraped that out and I cleaned it out, and I could see like a little black spot in there. And I was like, I think that there's we gotta get some blood out of there, because I think you have almost like a compression blood blister. And when I would touch the little black spot, it was hard, and she would go, "Ow." And I was like, "You've got something in there." And so I got it cleaned out around. And no joke, when I thought I could lift it out with this, couldn't get a hold of it. Grabbed a thin pair of forceps that I have, like really thin, almost like tweezers, and I got a hold of what was in there. And when I pulled it out, my wife had a piece of wood in her foot that was an inch. I measured it. It was an inch and a quarter long. 1.25 inches long in her foot, and it had been there because she was complaining about that. She's like, "Oh, I got like a corn, like a corn on the side of my foot." It's like, I think my shoe's rubbing, and she was complaining about that before she left for Japan. They were in Japan for 3 months, and this was like a month after they got back. So 4 months. 4 months. She had a piece of wood that was an inch and a quarter long in her foot. I was like, what is your pain tolerance like? How did that get in there? Like, how did you get that piece of wood in your foot and then not know it was there? So, guys, if you're just joining, please drop a like. Like, that's all I'm asking. It's free. Free 99. Go over, touch it. Doesn't cost you anything. It won't even file a charges. File charge. Just go touch the like. Just double tap the screen. Yeah, the YOLO, this is a really cool knife, but it's not just that it's cool. This is one of the most functional little new knives I've had come in, and then you can really choke up on it. And the weight balance on it is really good, but you've got a lot of blade. It is a pocket hog, I have to admit. It does take up a lot of space in pocket, but it's not heavy. And for being a budget knife, it is really good. I'm going to give myself a headache reading these comments without my, as someone said, dollar store glasses. Just reading glasses. So yeah, the button lock is great. Like it's so smooth after I took it apart, cleaned it up, that it is like, it drops back out of detent. It's almost as smooth as some $1,000 knives here that we have here. This thing is great, but like I said, it is a bit of a pocket hog. No, Colin, the fact that I was in bar fights as a hobby for a lot of years before I got married is what makes me tough. Do you think going on and trolling somebody's hobby makes you tough? Like, what? I'm 50 years old. I've been in enough fights. I know I'm tough. I don't need to prove it to anybody. If you have somebody coming on talking about how tough they are, they're probably not that tough. This thing's great. This thing is a super good utilitarian knife. I use this a lot for cutting up cardboard and stuff like that. 14C28N is great. This is a knife that, like I said, a little bit of a pocket hog. It does take up a little bit of space, but if you're looking for a work knife, see, Colin, we're just going to have to agree to, well, I don't have to agree to shit. I just escort you from the chat. Bye. Bye, Colin. Find another channel to troll if you're bored. Nah, nobody's going to see Colin. So yeah, if you're looking for, like, if you don't mind a knife that takes up a lot of space in your pocket, you want something really good as far as a carry knife, I really am impressed with this. I will say some people don't like the holes on knives. That's one of the things people talk about Spyderco. But as far as like doing a little bit of weight reduction, you got that full fuller. It's not as heavy as it absolutely would be if they hadn't removed a significant amount of material. And it gives it a really good look. I love the blade shape on it. It reminds me a lot. I know why I like it. I'll show you what it reminds me of, which is a knife we should have had out for this because it is a very good looking knife. It reminds me a lot of the Artisan. Oh, there it is. This is a big, heavy knife. This one is not as easy to carry. It's not as light and nimble and easy to use. Well, greetings back to you in Sweden. I don't think I ever went out in Sweden, but I think we landed in Sweden one time. This is the Artisan Mastiff. The Artisan Cutlery Mastiff, which is a really, really cool uh, knife. It's like it's got that kind of, it is big. It is big, especially when you consider I wear triple XL gloves. You're not giving, this is way heavier, but is very, very similar. There's a lot of similarities between this. I have not carried this in a while, mainly because I don't need a boat anchor in my pocket. But this is another really nice, it's so balanced. I need to get this out and carry it. Love this. If you have not seen one of these, it can be too big for a lot of people. I do agree. But reverse flick off the fuller, flipper tab on it, you can get all the way up in that forward choil. It's a really well balanced knife. A lot of people can't. Here's the thing, Bebob, that's great for you. There's a lot of places you can't carry a fixed blade. There are. Like if you're up in LA, you are not getting away with carrying this. Here in San Diego, I can carry anything I want. I can carry this, and I carry it a lot. I could carry pretty much anything I want. Now, I can't carry this because it breaks, because it's considered a dagger or a dirk, and it breaks those rules. But like 7.5-inch blade, doesn't matter. I can carry this. I think Los Angeles, because most fixed blades are going to be outside of the realm. I think 3 inches for fixed blades. I don't know. I'd have to ask my buddy Dave. My buddy 2A Dave. Dave lives in LA. And we talk sometimes about the differences in, I know San Francisco, you can't have anything more than a 3-inch blade in San Francisco. San Diego, I can carry whatever fixed blade or any folding knife I want. And as long as this is not concealed, I can carry any fixed blade I want. I can carry and have, forgot that I was wearing this and walked into Walmart carrying it. As long as it's outside of your clothing, you can carry this in San Diego. And this is a full-on, no-joke fucking combat knife. You can carry this. But if you go to San Francisco, you can't. So in California, they don't really have a lot. California overall, their knife laws are very lax. They're not lax, but very unrestrictive. But you also have municipalities, like specific areas in the state that set their own rules. The way it's supposed to work is you can add to but never detract from. So if I want to add restrictions, I can. But if California said, say, if California overall said there is a ban on knives that are more than 3 inches in length for blade length, you can't then as a city go back and say, okay, no, you can carry up to 10 inches. You can carry a knife up to like 8 inches. So say anything over 5-inch knives, period, fixed blade or folding, are illegal in the state of California. A city then can't go and say, okay, no, you can carry this because you're detracting from the overarching rules. You can add to, you can add more restrictions, but never take from. So if California has no restrictions on blade length or carry options, then municipalities can then go, okay, yeah, I know that California says it's illegal, but here in San Francisco, nothing more than a 3-inch blade. So that's just how it works. So here in San Diego, I carry stuff all the time that people are like, oh, you can't carry that. That's illegal. I was like, no, fixed blade knives are not illegal. Rickert has been a paying member for how long? Oh, Rickert just gifted a bunch of memberships. Guys, I have one more giveaway that I'm doing for the paying members. Let me pull up what we got. This is going to paying members. The knives that no one claimed for the last giveaway went back to my collection because I liked them. Well, I may give one of them back. This is what's being given away to the paying members soon, just as an appreciation for the fact that guys like Rickert have absolutely been a member for a long time. This is the titanium pyrite button lock. Nice little understated knife. Probably one of the best knives that CJRB ever came up with. Really light, really easy to carry. This is brand new. It's new in box. It's nib. This has never even been in my pocket because I had 2 of them. One of them I gave to a friend as a gift. That's the one I used as a review. This one has never even been in my pocket. So that's going, and with that as well is the, well, that sucks. Why is that stuck? Hang on, I'm trying to put stuff away. When do you get a knife? When you win a giveaway. The O knife Beagle is also going, and you can see that one there. This is the limited edition O knife Beagle. It's got a challenge coin and stuff in it. This is what's going. So if you guys just got a membership, know that probably this weekend I'm going to film a giveaway video for these knives, and that will be a members only video, and that's how you find out if you won. So if you win, you have 48 hours. Typically, I may do it on like a Friday and put that out to the members. And if I don't hear anything back by Sunday, these go back in my collection. That's how it works. Because I do like this knife. But I have the large version of it. I had a $350 knife I tried to do a giveaway for, and no one claimed it. No one even contacted me. So if you're a member, you got to make sure you have that bell set to all. You got to make sure you have the bell set to all so that you get the notifications of the members' videos, because I do occasionally do a members video, which is how you're going to find out if you won. You know what I mean? So it is a shame that there have been 5,000 views on this video. That's right, 5,000 views on this live feed currently, and only 42 of you have dropped a like. What else did I have that we've got that's sexy that we could look at? I got a lot of knives. The thing is, like, it's all up to. Thank you very much, Rickert, for the gift memberships. If you guys do appreciate it, go check out the members section on my YouTube channel. I got some members only videos and stuff. So I missed out on a 300. If I missed out on a 300 giveaway knife, I wouldn't be able to sleep for a month. Here's the thing. The knife that I was giving away, I liked, but I didn't carry. And I had specifically said, I've done one of the knives that was part of that giveaway. I've tried 3 times to give away. And I'm like, I'm just not going to do it anymore. So these might be, Fred the Lug, these might be the last giveaways, because it just seems like I do the trouble of doing the random generator and filming the video and putting it out and making the contact, and then I don't hear anything. And I'm like, well, that's time I could spend with my daughter, which is increasingly at a premium because she's in college now. I'm going to move this microphone, guys. I'm sorry if this bothers you or if the quality of the audio changes. I do love the fact that I no longer have to speak loudly because I'm wearing a... There it goes. I just had that magnetic one is bothering me, so we're just going to go ahead and clip this on my collar here. And if that audio quality changes, you guys just let me know in the comment section. This was the knife. This was the knife that I was trying to give away, and now I'm keeping it. I'm keeping it. I know you will, Rickert. You've said that numerous times. It's not me that does the picking. I use a random number generator. So this was... I hope you do. I really, it's frustrating to try and, like, I'm trying to give stuff. What is going on here with this? I'm trying to give stuff away. Like, I was trying to give this away. It's a great knife. Absolutely love this knife. But I never really carried it. I did carry it for a while. It was lightly used and it has been sharpened, but now it's going to go in my EDC rotation. It's going to go in my knife case because no one claimed it. So I love this knife too. I just didn't carry it all that often, but I know but I only do giveaways for the paying members because people are like, oh, you should do this, you should do that. And I'm like, why don't I just do the giveaways for paying members? They're paying me. So yeah, this is really cool. This was M390 steel titanium carbon fiber. Really, really thin behind the edge profile. Comfortable knife. Ridiculously sharp after I put a better edge on it. So, but that, yeah, those guys that just won their paying members, their free paying members, think about like getting your own membership. Baseline membership, I think, is $5 a month. The premium one, where you guys get the sharpening tutorial series, like the higher end stuff, that's $15. But the baseline membership's only $5 a month, and it's a lot of fun. As a matter of fact, this is now getting ready to go in my case. It may go in my pocket. So yeah, I love collecting knives. I love looking at the functionality of knives. Do I ever look at the plunge line? One of the first things I look at on a knife is the plunge line. Especially online. Now, when they come in, if I haven't seen it, if they come in sight unseen, there's a lot of times. There's a lot of times that a knife, that's the make or break if you can't. But there's another way to, like, the plunge on this is horrible. The sharpening was going to get a big smile. So I just simply took out the problematic section. And so I can show you, we're talking about a bunch of knives. Fred the Lug. I literally do these live feeds. I've got, let me see. You may lose audio when I do this. But like, this is just what we've got out. And this is a swap out of some other knives, but like all of this stuff over here, this is all knives. And this is a case full of knives, another case full of knives. Just, did the audio change? If the audio changed, I know how to correct it. But no, we're talking about a bunch of different knives. Just attractive, sexy knives. Things like that, like this. It's a badass 14C28 and front flipper. The YOLO is not a front flipper. It is a reverse flick. Not reverse flick. It is a, what do you call this? Not reverse flick. This is the finger flick method, like the Spidey flick, which is my favorite method of deployment. Oh no, go back. Oh, Superfly. I haven't seen that yet. Okay, same company, same brand is what he's talking about. It's a different, man, it is still sticky and humid. Spider Glick. Ugh. Oh, here's a really cool one we didn't touch on. Here's another hand-carved Elliott Williamson beauty right here. This is the Gavco. This is the Ferrum Forge Gavco collab that they did, and this also was all hand-carved. So all of this here, turn this. Let's go to this view. So you see those scales that are in that? Elliott carved all of this with a 1/32 ball end mill in a Dremel. Those are all hand carved. Every one of those scales is a hand carved scale. Hours, literally hundreds of hours I've watched Elliott carve. He was working on this one, and I remember when he was making this one, and he took a break. Now, I did not pay the full price for this. Does my Master Blaster get pocket time? My Master Blaster gets, did I put it away? I did put it away. I will show you how much pocket time it gets. You can look at it and see. Do they have a huge microscope? No. Elliott just sits there with a pair of glasses on, with not even, like, it's not even the cable Dremels, you know, the ones that have the drive unit that's separate and then it's got like a cable that runs it. Not even one of those, just the motor on the back Dremel, and he holds it like a pencil. No, that's all eyeballs. This gets enough pocket time. Can you see how worn the finish is on that blade? This does still get a lot of pocket time. But this was meant to look like fish, look like a specific fish. This specific knife was, because he would name each one of the Maker's Choice knives. This was the Marlin. And this was one of the most striking looking knives that Chris and Elliott ever did over at Ferrum Forge. And like I said, this was a Gavco collab. Somebody would put something about Gavco in here. A lot more patience. Plunge line, another word for sharpening choil. Raccoon sextension, no, it's not. This is your plunge line. That is your plunge line. That's a choil. Your plunge line is just where the grind terminates, and you can see how it thickens up. The reason that I have specific reasons why I like a choil is because you can get this cool plunge, and you can see that's where the grinding stops. You can see how that material thickens. On this, you're not going to have a smile on this. Somebody asked something about Gavco. Gavco's collaborating with everyone now. I have a custom Gavco, but there's at least 4 or 5, I think. Elliot was one of the Elliot and Mike, this was like, they were the first people that Mike Gavick collaborated with, and he had specific requirements. So there were 200 of these, 100 of them that Elliot did, and they all had choils, and 100 of them that Mike Gavick did that didn't have choils, and he did his way, Elliot did his way. So they, instead of splitting profit on it, they just each did 100 their own way. And it was a Ferrum Forge collab that way. But yeah, this is... Yeah, you talked about him having collabs with different companies. This is, I think, the best Gavco collab. Now, this was the spinner. But the problem was, Elliot got kind of upset, even though Mike and him are friends. Like, his sold, and then Mike had a hard time because he also did a collab with this exact knife with Custom Knife Factory, the Russian company. So this is, oh, I've seen pictures of the one. Show us the best one. Right now, the best knife I own is this. This is the first knife we talked about in the video. This is Microtech Amphibian Ramlock. The Ramlock is just about perfect. And I want to talk about something. I want to touch on this. I'm taking these off because I'm not going to read the comments for a minute. So I did the video about how good this knife was, and everybody was like, typically I don't call channels out by name, but there's Cutting Board Knife Reviews or CBX, CBR, I can't remember what. He did a video where he had one of these fail, and he cut himself pretty badly. And everybody's like, oh, you should see it, because they're not great locks and this and that. I was like, at no point in any time in my life have I ever thought to myself, I need to hammer a nail with the spine of this knife. The spine whack test is a ridiculous test. It gets you nowhere. You can actually cause a knife that typically wouldn't fail to fail and give you a false reading. And you can damage your knife with it, especially if you're doing a button lock. So this lock failed, and he had a hold of the knife like this and was whacking it hard, way harder than you should ever, on a piece of wood, and the lock failed and snapped. And this guy was like, they're not addressing the failures. They have addressed the failures, specifically because of that video. And people are like, oh, that's unsafe, which is bullshit, because that's not a valid test of a knife lock. They changed the lockup point on this on the newer knives. They're not going to fail a rational test on a knife. If you want to know if your knife lock is good, you simply hold the knife like this, you push down on both ends, and if you feel flex in that lock, you stop, and you reached out to the company and say, hey, I don't have a lot of faith in this lock. I have got some lock slip, or some, that lock is trying to come loose. Most prominently, frame locks and liner locks are famous for that. These. Now, his knife failed because he's an idiot. That is not how, first of all, that's not how you do a spine whack. Spine whacks are done with a rational amount of force, right? And if you're gonna do a spine whack, you sure as hell don't hold the knife like this, because where does that go? Well, it hits you in the hand. And if you do that, you deserve anything that happens to you. A spine whack test that's done at the force he used is going to induce shock through the spine of the blade into here, allow that knife to rattle along the lock surface, and can get the knife lock out of position to then and then it's going to fail. There aren't a lot of knives that are going to pass that spine whack test. I'm upset. As much as I love cold steel and their irrational, crazy, over-the-top knife tests, they are the ones that started this whole thing with, oh, you got to be able to do that. Never once in my 50 years have I pounded on anything with the back of a knife. Never once. There's an entire class that you take in the military right after boot camp. Depending on where you're going, if you go to A school, you're going to get an A school. If you're just joining as an undesignated seaman or airman or any of those, you take a class called Tools and Their Uses, to the point where you learn the difference between a Phillips and a Reed and Prince. If you are using the spine of a knife as a hammer, you would have failed that class. But that's what you call, like, when you first join the Navy, you are a seaman apprentice, seaman recruit, just depends. Airman recruit, because I'm going to sea, they're Airedales, they're going to be going to air. I can't remember what they call the construction men. But at no point have I ever been like, you know what? I need to pound on a I need to use the back of this knife as a hammer. You know what else I would never do? I have never used the spine of a fixed blade as a hammer. I wouldn't do that either. So I see people like, oh, it failed the spine whack test. I was like, that wasn't a spine whack. That was a try to annihilate the lock. There are some knives that do fail a light spine tap, which is what I would, like, tapping the knife. Let me grab this. This is what I've used in the past to do the test. As you can see, I do the test, not hard, because that simulates me using the knife turning and knocking into something, and I want to make sure that that light amount of force is not going to close that knife on my hand, right? I turn, I hit something by accident. Now, I will say, there you go, so Aiden beat me to it. I have had, and I never did a video of it because I don't want people like flame spraying me in the comments, but Jared went ahead and did the same video I was thinking about doing. That exact test I just did, I've never had a ZT pass it. Which is why when people are like, what about ZT? What about this? I'm like, don't fucking buy them. ZT, Kershaw, they're supposed to be overbuilt. They're garbage. In my opinion, they're trash. Which is why was everything sharp. CJRB I had fail, and Monterey Bay knives. I've never had a CJRB fail a light spine whack. Never once. I have had higher end brands that failed. I have. And I do believe I had a package just show up. I have some stuff coming. I have some stuff coming from some other people, and I've got to go to the post office here shortly. What about the new Kershaw bar locks? Okay. I have traditional crossbar lock, Axis style crossbar lock. Spring on each side, right? They can, I disagree. CJRB Echo, button lock. I'm pretty strong. I can make a lot of locks fail. I spine whacked CJRB Echo to the point where I bent the plunger. Yeah, it didn't work right after, but it didn't fail. Like yeah, mini nightshade. So this is a traditional crossbar lock, Axis style lock. Spring on either side. Yeah, what one did you have? Did you have a frame lock? Or liner lock? This is the button lock one. I beat one of these until I bent the plunger. It still didn't fail. But I don't have one of the liner lock. But so, okay, back to this. So yeah, this is a crossbar lock. There's a spring on either side of this. So you can see as I start to push on this, one side starts to flex before the other. You can see it's kind of off center. It's because there's a spring on either side of this. I don't like, now this is probably one of the best true axis style locks. Axis locks like this with a crossbar. This is the ram lock, which is still a crossbar lock, but you can see there's only one spring and it's right here. And so what happens is, and people have argued with that doesn't happen. There's a reason that Benchmade's most warranted item are the springs on these. People are like, that doesn't happen. I've had mine for 20 years and never broke. Okay, great. But if you're somebody that only grabs one side of that axis lock and uses that, you put more tension on one spring than the other, and it's not going to last, and it's going to wear out and break faster. This one doesn't matter because there's only one spring, and you're not putting any additional torque and torsion on it and having things out of whack. It's one spring right there in the center. So as far as crossbar locks, I don't know what the, just going back to this here. Somebody asked about the, at 3 years old? No, but I'm saying 50 years, I'm 50 years old. So in all those years, whether I was carrying a knife or not, I've never thought to myself, I should have, fine, Fred, you're being a little bit histrionic. So somebody asked about the crossbar lock style. This is really cool. And whether it's got, hey, Winston Cobretti, I was just talking about you a little bit ago. This is personally, I got you, Fred. I'm just saying. So I'm 50. I turn 51 August next year. I just turned 50. So I'm a brand new minted 50-year-old. But I did have knives as a kid. As a matter of fact, I've had this knife since I was about 6. It's the first knife I ever got. My father gave this to me. So Winston Cobretti is one of my paying members. He's a guy that's given me a bunch of stuff. Actually, Rambo first knife, stonefish, folder. What one are you what one sharpening stone would you take with you? It can be two-sided. Fuck, I don't know, bro. Like, that's a big question. You got your stonefish in 20 CV, sea snake, and S35 EN, and your a folder of your choice in 14 CD. What sharpening stone would I take with me? Well, here's the thing. So 20 CV, for as hard as it is, you can still do it on aluminum oxide. So I would say if I'm taking one stone, it's not going to be an aluminum oxide stone, but I'm probably going to take this. This is my best all-around option that gives me the finish, the edge that I would want on all of those knives, is probably this 1000 grit Shapton Pro ceramic, because it's going to do well on all those. As a matter of fact, I took the edge off of my 20 CV stonefish and my Artisan sea snake and my stonefish, both, and I sharpened them in less than 10 minutes from dull on that stone as like a one stone option. So that would be the stone I would take. There you go. For $10, there's your answer. I've personally broken 3 Omega springs. That's why I don't do the butterfly tacks anymore. Also, 2 auto springs break. I have not broken an auto, but the only autos I have, well, that's not true, this one. But I don't ever mess with this too much. Like, this usually just lives in the case. I just like it because I love TJ and I love the knife brand, and this is a very striking knife. I've never broken a spring on any of my Microtechs. I did, however, replace those springs. There was a guy for a while that was making aftermarket spring kits for the full-sized Ultratechs. And I thought that he got put out of business because he got a cease and desist. That's not what happened. He just went out of business. People weren't buying enough of them. But he provided aftermarket springs for the Ultratechs, the full-size Ultratechs. And they fired so much harder, so much better. They did make the push button a little bit stiffer, but it was like, it went from just being like, ha, to bang. And so I did replace that. So I don't know, but I also don't carry my OTS, my autos, ever. Like, I mean, they're a lot like gun laws, knife laws work for those who are willing to follow them. I don't carry I don't carry knives that are illegal typically unless it's for specific research purposes, and I'm always going to be cautious of carrying it and things like that. I typically follow knife and gun laws, unlike criminals. So, guys, it's been 2 hours plus. I'm going to end this because I got to get this stuff all cleaned up. I do have to film intro and outro for the video that I've got to edit, and it's a huge video. It is going to take forever to edit, and there's a lot of audio editing I have to do. So, no, I put it in the full-sized. So Raccoon Sex Dungeon, I put it in the full-sized Ultratech. I can show you right now. It may need a little bit of lubrication because it's been living in this roll here for a while. It was in this one. Oh, yeah, it definitely. It's still snappier than it was with the original springs, and can't change them out because unfortunately the proprietary bit driver I had for this broke, and I'm not paying another $60 for one that I just need for only one knife. I don't need that. So I won't ever be taking that knife apart again. This is the one you're talking about with the Spartan. This one slams. This one fires. This one has their newer action in it. This is their 25th anniversary edition. This is the UTX 85. So it's 85% the size. So this is an Ultratech full size. And this is 85% the size of the full size. So there's a UTX 70, which is 70% smaller, or 70% of the size. There's an 80. This is the UTX 85, which I think, in my personal opinion, hello, soy Milan free. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, stop trolling the chat. Jesus Christ. So this, I think, is the perfect size for an auto. This is a really fun knife, but it's just a little bit too big. It's almost too big. This is the perfect size for an out the front. This is the perfect size for it. And that's the perfect blade for it because you're not cutting up your apples with this. You're letting the air out of something or possibly someone with this. So it doesn't need to be that super sharp edge. As a matter of fact, if it's not sharp on the sides, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I know Fred the Lug. Well, you can own them. You just can't carry them. Well, it depends. If you're in the city, I don't think you can even own them. Here in California, you can own these all you want. You just can't carry them anywhere. It's a lot like my new cane that stays here that I do carry. Actually, I'm not gonna lie, I do violate that law that we're about to talk about. Wow, I can't get that in there right now. I'm not letting, just the air. Yeah, that. I'm not gonna lie, I do violate the rules with this. This was a gift. We have mountain lions in our area. This actually is a sword cane. But I don't carry it all the time. I only carry it at night when there's mountain lions. And I got news for you. If the cops came out, it was like, did you carry a sword? I was like, yes, I absolutely did. Because I can't carry a gun. So yes, I carried that. Lesser of two evils. So, but I don't think I would call the cops about a mountain lion. I think I would just take my leave of it after I left, like after I got away. I'm not gonna lie, I do violate the law. I carry this at night when I go for long walks if I'm not carrying that. Because I'm pretty comfortable. Carrying this and deploying it, especially now that I got the new sheath. So guys, 128 minutes. I love you all. Thanks for hanging out. If you haven't dropped a like, please drop a like. If you haven't followed the channel, please follow the channel. If you just got gifted a membership, make sure you go check out the member section and make sure that you have your notifications set to all for all of this stuff. I live in San Diego area, outside of San Diego. So Fred, everybody thinks, okay, before we go too far, before I take off, everybody seems to think that San Diego is this bustling metropolis, which it is. Downtown is over 1 million people. I live about 16 miles out of downtown San Diego. Not even that much. I think maybe 12 or 13. But I also live in an area where the mountains end, The desert ends, the beach begins. So I'm pinched in that little area of desert between mountains and ocean. And we've got mountain lions, we got coyotes. The last time I took this big lug over here for a walk, last time I took him for a walk up near the ball fields where my wife goes, used to play softball, I saw three rattlesnakes on a maybe 45-minute walk with him. Where I did all the filming for that video where I took you all around San Diego, like what do I carry, knives to carry, that longer video that I used like multiple cameras and stuff for. I took you on a hike up to one of my favorite spots up in that area. I think I initially tried to film at like 1,900 or 2,000 feet on the side of that mountain, and I had to come back down because it was just too foggy to film at about 1,000 feet. There are mountain lions and coyotes all over that place. They got warning signs and stuff. Literally saw a mountain lion crossing the street up the road. That's why my buddy got this for me. We were on a walk with the dog. He was staying with me here while his, no, I'm sorry. This was my buddy that was in town. And so he was coming over in the evenings and we were hanging out. I hadn't seen him in about 15 years. But at any rate, he saw, as we were walking the dog, not too far up the road, a mountain lion crossed the street in front of us. My neighbor, that's why he got this. He's like, I ordered something for you. It'll be here Tuesday. And it was this sword cane. My neighbor right across the street has a picture he showed me of a mountain lion sleeping on his kid's trampoline in the backyard at like 11 or 12 o'clock at night. So yeah, it's just, authentic tacos are good. So anyway, guys, I do have to get off of here. It's been 130 minutes. I love you all. Make sure you check out the channel. Like I said, if you just got gifted a membership, make sure you check out the members section. Check out the Gilded server where it says join the community down below. I go in and out of that from time to time. I'm not really super consistent about checking the Gilded server, but absolutely, guys, I love you all. Take it easy. There's a video that will be going up Wednesday, but you're absolutely welcome to check out the past videos. There's about more than 3,000 of them. It's not on Discord. It's a Gilded server. I don't like Discord. I'm probably going to have to switch it back to Discord because the fact is now you have to have a Roblox account to use the Gilded, but you don't have to like log into Roblox. It's just because they're using their servers. So absolutely, if you wanna hit me up there, if you've got something you want to talk about on the videos, or if you are someone like the guys that, if you are like one of the guys that comes on here is like, I need somebody to talk to, this and that, hit me up, and I won't necessarily give you someone to talk to personally. It won't necessarily be me, but I can point you in the direction of some of the mental health services that are available. And if you're a veteran, just keep breathing, man. Don't give up. Don't give up. Use your VA. Use your VA to get some mental health. All right, guys, I'm out. I love y'all. I'll catch you in the next video.